Welcome to Pop Art. This segment is focusing on option A, which is using color harmony and a grid process to draw your first face. For many of you, it'll be your first face. Don't stress. This is actually an amazing process, learning what you can and cannot do. You'll learn very quickly that all of us are capable at looking at little details to draw what you want to see, what you want to draw, create what you want to create. So let's begin. This image is done by Roy Lichtenstein. Pop art originally was this like idea to take the very ordinary newspaper clippings, faces of celebrities. Really, we had just learned in this point of time in art, we were simplifying things and trying to get away with reducing things to the bare minimum and still call them art. So people are testing the limits of like, what could we do, create the most fundamental, the most basic form of art and still call it art. And these pop artists really established their place in art by doing such. Here, Roy Lichtenstein, he stole from comic books and then recreated them in large scale for people to observe and appreciate, capturing a lot of these great compositions that are normally just found in magazines. Um, Next, you see this image. If you don't never seen this image before, this is a very famous piece done by the one and only Andy Warhol. The painting you saw before, that was recently sold for like $195 million. And Andy Warhol created lots of them. Could you imagine being able to sell like 20, 30 of them for that much? Obviously, it takes time for artists to gain that kind of notoriety. Andy Warhol is long deceased, but what he did to the arts and the way he explored color was very unique. And so many people have been inspired by his stylistic ways, including advertisement agencies, graphic designers that constantly create this kind of work. You've even seen some apps that are focused on making this kind of visual. And to see how people play with color, here is very pop-like inspiration for the cover for Guardians of the Galaxy. Notice how they play with colors, but the main importance behind this is looking at color harmony. That's the way people use this color wheel that you've painted to find colors that go really well together. So here is just boom, boom, cross complementary colors using four different colors. You look at this one, it's doing the same thing, still focusing on red, green, blue, and yellow, but then this time toning them down. When you tone colors down, they tend to pretend these guys are all kind of staying away from each other, avoiding really interacting. It's like they're like four really big personalities trying to get your attention all at the same time, but you get them closer to gray, closer to the middle, and they seem to interact much better. They all kind of harmonize and become one more solid image instead of clashing and exploding. And it's hard to kind of focus on one thing in this image, whereas in this other one, it's a lot softer on the eyes. And now we have an analogous example here. Analogous colors are the ones that are like all on one side, such as red, orange, and yellowish orange, or yellowish orange, yellow, and lime green, etc. So any three or so colors that are very close to one another on the color wheel, all sharing one side. So notice the warmth created by this advertisement for the Jimi Hendrix movie. And just to show you how artists and cinematographers use this, look at this color arrangement. Got this green and the purple that really interact with one another. Looking at the color wheel, let's go back to this. In that painting or the screenshot we just saw, they had green, blue, purple, so they're kind of staying on one side. Let's look at it again. Kind of working with analogous colors, introducing red into the mix too. So what I'm seeing is, look at this reddish purple playing or interacting with her hair and her shirt. And then we have this blue interacting with her shirt pocket, and then the green kind of just complementing the purple. So there's lots of ways to play with color and make it work. Just very quickly, simply, just so you know terminology, two colors that are across from one another on the color wheel is called complementary. Then you have split complementary here. where instead of it going direct, you kind of split off to the left and to the right of what would be the complement. And this Y shape is one of my favorites to use in color schemes. Here you have a few other examples. We'll just keep moving forward just so you visualize what's happening. When you use coolers.co or if you Google color schemes, you'll see like all these great colors that work together. And here's a simple scientific explanation to why they work so well, including analogous colors and triads. So figuring it out is the science. And these cinematographers and photographers are really coming up with great ways to exploit that. And now let's continue talking and going down that road of pop art. Nowadays, we are still using pop art. Excuse me, let me delete that. So we're still using pop art in lots of ways. The person that's mastered it so much in our most recent time is this guy, Shepard Fairey. Do you guys know who he is? Um, what if I click right here? You may recognize. Oops, sorry, clicking on all sorts of things. Okay, so here's Shepard Fairey, known for his stylistic work, playing with fundamental colors, propaganda-like artwork. This one is what really brought him into the forefront of art. This piece boosting Obama into the presidency clearly really made him a very pop-like icon. A lot of people recognize and related to this piece here. And you can see that Shepard Fairey still works with that simplified style structure of art. So what you would be doing, I have a long story of Shepard Fairey. If you want to know, come by and ask me about his life, and be glad to talk to you about AKA Obey. What you'll be doing is applying color theory. You're going to create a unique artwork. You're going to be thinking about the whole composition. So before you start painting, I want you to think about what's going to surround your figure when you start creating it. In terms of pop, pop means popular, but don't worry about the face itself. It could be a relative. I have a student who's painted a dog, or another student that's about to paint her dog. Um, and that's perfectly fine. What you have here is an image of a beautiful Latina wearing a very Mexican-like shirt and a flower in her hair. We don't know who she is, but it's done in pop style. So I really love to I would like to ask you to consider painting somebody that you know of, or maybe if it's a celebrity, a musician, or a rapper, or a politician, or someone that inspires you. Pick somebody that like not very many sorry, pick somebody that not too many of us know. It's great to educate. It's great to use artwork to show something that nobody's seen before. So if you can Google the person you're thinking about, let's say it's Obama, you type in Obama pop art, you're going to see hundreds and hundreds of paintings related to that. So it's better if you create something that's never been seen before and in colors that have never been seen before, presented in a way that's never been seen before. And with that, I do want to chat about Jordan Castile, which is a artist that I wouldn't say she's a pop artist, but this is exactly what she does. She walks around New York City looking for inspiration. When she sees something that she's just like, wow, I need to catch that moment. She'll take a photograph of the person or people and then she obviously asks them for permission to use them in an artwork. And then she goes home and paints them and then invites them to the art show whenever she hangs the work and says, here you are, this is you. So with that said, what I'm saying is that once you gain the skill, once you learn how to create art, you realize that you have an opportunity to show people what other people don't see. You make the invisible visible. And her job is exactly that. She says that with great power comes great responsibility, very much like Spider-Man. Option B, option B is um, if people you feel like it's not time to paint people yet, this one's not going to be any easier. By the way, this is mechanical, and mechanical things have their own things to think about. Everything from rims that you would have to draw to suspension to bumpers to tail lights, etc. But what the focus behind option B is to paint your car, preferably your car. These are all examples, not of students' cars, of course. These are pretty pricey vehicles like this, what looks like a Ferrari, to this Beamer BMW. Anyways, what you're going to be doing is painting a car from a dynamic perspective. We're not focusing on color harmony here, but mostly color mixing. So how do you get this fade on the concrete? How do you get the right shades on a tire and the right, coloration on paint? So all of that is an illusion. We'll be investigating that and mixing it until we get it right. Okay, even painting these fine lines here, we're not going to be using Sharpie. We're going to be using a paintbrush, and you're going to learn how to apply paint. So either way, you're getting something out of it. Out of option B, what you're going to get is you're going to learn to draw accurately using this grid. You're going to pay attention to blending values and creating shapes and shades that look much like that photograph that you'll be using. So you will be asked to run around, go to the parking lot, take a picture of your car. Last thing I need to mention is that we are working on dynamism, meaning you see the size of this tire. If I were to pick it up and place it next to this tire, it's going to look like this back tire is half the size of the front tire. And that's because things get farther away. As things get farther away, they get smaller, and that's the illusion that you want to create. So you'll have to have the evidence that you are creating this dynamic perspective. Look, even that front tail light, because it's much closer than that other tail light or headlight. Sorry, these are headlights. This headlight here is much smaller than the other headlight. I want to see that evidence if it's in the picture. Okay. Typically, what that means is that this windshield, whether it be the front windshield or the back window, it's gonna be cut off by the front bumper or the hood. So